Carshalton, in the London Borough of Sutton, is a great part of the world. And at its heart is the local pride and joy, the River Wandle. I'm Bobby Dean. I work as a charity advisor and local councillor, and live right next to the river. I love the Wandle. It's one of my favourite things about living here in Carshalton. Every day I get that moment of peace, walking along its path with my dog Chester. But the river is at risk. It recently had its good quality rating downgraded, meaning there are no longer any healthy rivers in London.
Oh wow!
And residents have spotted raw sewage overflowing straight into the waterway.
No, this ain't right.
So to understand what's going on and how we can all help, we need to go back to the start. The Wandle cuts a path right through South London and has been a crucial factor in its development. I want to find out more about the river's long history. Hello John, good to see you. So I'm meeting local river guide John Hawkes, who has been walking the Wandle for over 35 years.
It is a chalk stream, and that's a rarity. It's water that is filtered by the chalk of the North Downs, and we're just in the shadow of the North Downs here. So that's why this is an incredibly pure and beautiful looking river. Wonderful in its time for fish, wonderful for habitat and livestock. There are 200 chalk streams in the world, and that is all, and nearly all of them are in England. So,
and we're lucky to have one here.
Well, we've got it running straight through the lifeblood, if you like, of Carshalton. The Wandle flows all the way down to Wandsworth, not very far, you wouldn't think, but because it comes from the North Downs, it falls 125 feet. That's quite a drop, and that means that it's a very, very powerful flow.
It goes quickly.
That's right. The consequence of that was that an awful lot of mills were built along the river. The Romans started it with corn. The Saxons afterwards, that mill over there which did snuff, was actually mentioned originally in the Domesday Book. The upper mill further to the south, that was a corn mill. Fabric printing was another great thing. You know, William Morris set up his works on the Wandle, specifically because the chemical quality of the water is very, very pure. It meant his natural dyes would work perfectly to get the colours he wanted for his marvellous designs. They even ground, at some stages, gunpowder on the River Wandle. So it's been myriads of different industries on this river. And about 200 years ago, there were about 50, 60 mills. It was called the hardest worked river for its size in the world.
Really? So it seems like the speed and the quality of the water was a real gift to everybody, but it must have had an impact on the river itself.
You bet it did. Bits of the river were diverted to make it go faster, go straighter, be more useful to industry. The thing became more and more heavily polluted by all the stuff that was going into the river from the leather factories, from the printing factories, paint factories with bits of paint going in, fabric printing, with all the dyes that were going to the river.
Straight into the river.
Then of course came oil and petrol and all the stuff associated with motoring. It was getting worse and worse and worse. And by about mid-1960s, the river was so polluted and wildlife so dead in it, it was actually declared officially as a sewer. Oh. Since then, everyone's woken up to the fact that, you know, this wonderful natural resource was being spoiled.
So it sounds like it's got a complicated history, but what a beautiful spot.
It's a wonderful spot, and the people of Carshalton are very proud of it, and you know, it really needs to be sustained as beautiful as this. It's lovely.
The mills are pretty much all gone now. Those that remain have been converted, into flats or offices. But their legacy is plain to see. The river now runs straight and is quite deep, meaning it's disrupted all of its natural processes. It's not great for flood management, and it's not great for the wildlife either. So, over the past few years, Sutton Council have been working with environmental organisations like the South East Rivers Trust to restore sections of the river. At Richmond Green in Beddington, overgrown banks are being carefully managed to let light in. Along the sides, wooden boards are to come out to help restore the river profile to a gentle slope, allowing plants to take root. New habitat areas and natural wood deflectors will pinch the channel, increasing the river flow to move and clean the gravel bed. The work being done here at Richmond Green has resulted in more wildlife, more plants. It just feels more natural, more like the river used to be, and more like the river could be again. And it's not just river management organisations that are working to make a difference. Local residents are joining the efforts too. Downstream, the Friends of Poulter Park run regular litter picking sessions. And they've invited me along to join in. Hello team.
Hey Bobby.
How are you? Collected anything?
Bottles, crisp packets.
Isabel Harris has been helping out for over a year now. What kind of litter are you finding when you go out on your runs?
Unfortunately, we find quite a lot of mopeds, bikes
Right.
that have been wheeled in, but then small things, oodles of plastic bags, and they break down, they create microplastics. Silly things like DVDs and videos, things that people don't want. Sometimes we find some trade waste from fly tipping with paint cans and carpets and bits from builds. So we pull it out of the bushes and we then let the local binmen know and they come and take it away for us.
And what's the strangest thing you've come across?
Probably a bath.
A bath?
A bath.
How did you get the bath out?
There was a carpet found that day as well, so we put the bath on the carpet and a couple of us dragged the carpet out of the bushes.
Good effort. So, what do you find some of the benefits are of being around all this nature?
Being outdoors gives you a sense of well-being. I enjoy coming down here and hearing the birds. I love the fact that even though I'm in London, I can come here and hear a plethora of different species. I found a stag beetle earlier on this year with my daughter. That was really lovely. The sound of the river running is a really lovely spot. The water definitely makes me feel much better.
You must feel pretty good after you've cleaned up and seen the progress you've made.
When you scan over and you see the rubbish and then you go back and you see that it's clear, I enjoy that more. I know that other people are going to enjoy that more. And litter attracts litter, so if it's not there, people are less inclined to put more down.
The team have pulled loads out of the banks. But the river itself needs some TLC. And that means getting in. It's actually my first time in the Wandle. It's not the warmest, but its crystal clear waters mean that litter has nowhere to hide. Oh god, that's quite heavy. It's got a bag. Is that the back of the moped?
That's the back of a moped.
I'm getting the hang of this now. It's time to get more ambitious.
Oh, it's not too heavy.
Up. It's alright. There we go. That feels like a big win. Job done. Let's see what we've got. Well, it's a pretty big haul for a few minutes' work, isn't it?
I know, it's amazing how much you can actually pull out of the river. We've got rusted bike, what looks like a burnt out back of a moped.
Yeah, you've seen one of them before, so you recognise it.
I've seen a few of these, yeah.
And of course the tyre as well, which we weren't sure if we'd get out, but we did get it out in the end.
Yay, go us, high fives.
Well done. The power of the local community to make a difference blows me away. The riverside clean-ups complement the restoration efforts, improving the stream's overall health. And all this work is about making the Wandle better. Better for plants, better for wildlife, better for fish. And look at it, it's working. Nature is returning. There's life everywhere. Insects are attracted by the wildflowers. Waterfowl nest along the river. Grey herons and egrets stalk the banks. They're on the hunt for fish, which are coming back to the waters in greater numbers. And that means someone else is returning too. Anglers are now a common sight along the more accessible stretches. Amy Battams took up fly fishing about 3 years ago and is a regular visitor. Hello Amy, how are you?
Bonjour, how are you? You good?
Yeah, how's it going?
I'd like to say I'm catching, but I'm not actually.
No, not
it's
yet.
Pretty rough.
Well, I don't really know a lot about fishing. Last time I went I was probably about 12 with my granddad, but can you tell me a bit more about fishing in a Wandle, what it's like?
Magnificent, beautiful, perfection. Look at this.
It's a lovely bit down here, yeah. Tell me about the type of fishing you're doing, how does it work?
All right, so fly fishing essentially is, if you look at this.
Do you want me to hold that? Right?
Go on, yeah, treat yourself, look at this. Underneath all of this is a whole world. And these are all sort of the natural patterns you'll find in the river. So the fish sort of think they're their natural food source, so these green ones will look like caddis flies.
Yeah.
And if they're feeding from the bottom, and then you want to put a nymph on or a shrimp, we've got thousands of shrimps under here. They look
just like that.
Exactly like this.
And what sort of things do you catch here?
We've got a good amount of different fish species here in the Wandle, and you can catch pretty much all of them. So we've got trout, gudgeon, barbel, carp, we've got wild carp, tench.
What's your favourite?
Oof, chub.
Chub?
Chub, they're common fish and they're obliging, you know. If you don't catch the species you're after, you'll catch a chub.
Fishing in an urban environment must be quite tricky. What are some of the challenges that you face?
The main one I would say is pollution. There's some pretty bad areas where the fish don't do so well.
It's so clear here, isn't it?
Yeah, gin clear. You look into the water, you can see the bottom of it. That's how a chalk stream is supposed to be. But it's not like this throughout. It's quite a serious issue. We've seen fish deaths. Personally, the worst pollution incident I witnessed was sewage. I'll show you.
Yeah, you've got the video still.
Let me show you right now. Oh wow, I was just about to start fishing. Whoa! Oh my god, I can't even. Oh my god, I can't even.
That is so bad. Amy's video clearly shows human faeces, wet wipes and fat flowing downstream.
No, this ain't right. Look at all of these turds and fat bugs.
That is awful. It's the first time I've seen the raw evidence myself. But unfortunately, this is a known problem. During periods of heavy rain, sewer systems can become overwhelmed. When this happens, water companies need to prevent the sewers from flooding, so are allowed to discharge rainwater and untreated sewage straight into the rivers. Round here, Benton Sewage Works deals with the wastewater of over 420,000 people. Its overflow channel usually contains clean, treated water, running across a local green before joining the Wandle, but not on the day Amy was heading there to fish. That is in a completely raw state, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
That's pure sewage.
The practice of sewage overflow is totally legal, but that doesn't make it any less disgusting. You must have been pretty shocked when...
I was so shocked.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't realise that this kind of thing would be happening today,
Yeah.
in this day and age, Because our kids swim in this, our dogs go in this. I grew up wading through this water.
Yeah, I walked my dog along this exact stretch and he's been in this bit
You
and
know.
he wouldn't go in it if it was like that.
We just want to know somebody is looking into this and they're going to try and make some sort of change.
I plan to clean it up.
That's it. That's it.
Thanks so much. See you.
Tight lines.
Seeing Amy's video really brings home how delicate the river's ecosystem is. The more I find out, the more concerned I get. So this is it. When the water treatment works is overflowing, raw sewage meets the Wandle right here. It's clear today, but images taken in the recent past show the brown sewage overflow meeting the natural waters here. It's not just a local issue. This is happening all over the UK. In 2022, water companies discharged sewage into rivers and seas for nearly 1.8 million hours, an average of 825 times per day. I just can't really believe that in this day and age we still allow this sort of thing to happen to our river. It's so obvious that this isn't okay, but the government recently missed an opportunity to strengthen water pollution rules. They voted to allow water companies to continue the sewage discharges. And there's no upgrade work plan for our area until 2035. It's a worrying situation for a river that's such a big part of our community. I've always loved the Wandle, but now I understand it better. Its history, the people who care for it, its uniqueness as one of the few urban chalk streams in the world. I feel protective over it. Now the water companies know that they're in the wrong. They've apologised for failing to invest in the infrastructure we need to stop sewage dumping. But an apology isn't enough. We need to see action, and that's why I'm trying to keep the pressure up. And I want you to join me in telling the government that they can't keep letting them get away with this. I've got a petition, and I'd like you to sign it, and get your neighbours to sign it as well. And together, we can get the River Wandle back to its best.